Welcome to this week's episode of Garage Talk, your place for automotive news and unbiased discussion. It's been a while since we've done an episode, but that's because we don't get paid for doing this, so don't blame us for not making it a priority, but thanks for those listening. So today, a couple exciting things to talk about. By the way, how's your new year, Tyler? Welcome back to Garage Talk.
Oh, it's going fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Not as good as you, apparently. You told me before we hopped on that you bought one of the $1,400 Chinese dirt bikes that we've been talking about and curious to try for quite some time.
There's going to be some great content coming soon, okay? It's going to be a strong 2021 for this channel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm very excited.
We've got some bets hedged there. All right. So 4 big items this week. Number one, the Hyundai has launched a new line, the N line. And this is, as we've been talking about, this growing trend of the hot family sedans, right? Getting that price performance into the four-door saloon. Tell us a little about it, Tyler.
Yeah, back in 2018, Hyundai said, hey, we're going to throw out this Veloster in. And it was fantastic, very well received. And they've since expanded that line to now include the Elantra, and as well as the Sonata. So, a lot of these cars are kind of, family sedans, not exactly exciting. And of course, it's a Hyundai. However, the N-Line really brings it up. I mean, just as an example, it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder running with a turbocharger, pushing out 290 horsepower. I mean, that's real world. That's a real fast car right there. Now, the real downside is it's still a Sonata, so it's still front wheel drive. It's still 290 horsepower through front wheel drive car is not a recipe for happiness, but it is certainly bringing the excitement to the family sedan world. I'm not shopping this market, but what I will tell you is what I like about this is kind of like, I hate to even do this because people are going to hate me for it, but it kind of reminds me of the Subaru game. Now, of course, Subaru was legendary in rallying, but if you've ever driven an Impreza, yeah, it's got, the symmetrical all-wheel drive, which is great, but it's gutless. It's kind of slow. However, you start getting into the WRX and the STI, then boom, you got some fun on your hands. Mm-hmm. Same thing here. I mean, you buy a baseline Sonata. Yeah, I mean, Hyundais are turning into really good cars. You're going to be fine. You got a 4-door sedan, but it's not going to be exactly fun. Now you start getting 290 horsepower through there, and it starts competing with a lot of the more upscale brands.
Still doesn't excite me nearly as much as some of the electric offerings for around. Well, let's talk about price. So I was going to say it's exciting in terms of its gas competitors, I'll say, but is the price compelling enough that I'm going to not spend 40 to 50 grand on a Model 3, for example, and buy this instead?
Well, basically, here's the deal. It starts at $34,195. So it's certainly one of the more pricey cars, especially when it comes to a Hyundai. But here's the thing: is right in that realm, you're playing with cars that are maybe similar or even worse, but they're not front wheel drive. You have the Kia Stinger and the Dodge Charger, both putting out 250, 290 horsepower ish, and you get the rear wheel drive. Now, here's the thing: is that's one of the arguments that we're hearing. That being said, it's a Sonata. I think that people would still enjoy the straight line speed of a front drive, 209 horsepower. It's better in the snow. It's better in a lot of conditions. I don't exactly mind it. I don't know.
I think it's nice that they have the offering, but honestly, I can't respect it. In a time when there's just so much press to be had around innovation in the automotive space, it bothers me that Hyundai would put a bunch of press energy into saying that, hey, we've taken one of our sedans and we threw a turbocharger on it. Go have fun. I'm just not compelled by it. It seems like, with all the press with Tesla, with GM, which we'll talking about in a second, that you think there'd be something more exciting. I don't know.
It's Hyundai. I bet you they got a lot of things. Basically, Hyundai is, they started a little bit behind the 8 ball, a little bit later than GM and everyone, of course. And so they caught up quickly to the gas world. And now they have to find a way to translate that into being early on the electric side as well. So
I have a prediction for this.
Okay.
I think that 5-10 years, the electric offerings are going to be so compelling that this is going to fall to the wayside. So I think you could pick one of these bad boys up for about $6,500 in 2026.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll be happy to buy one of these while you're sitting at your supercharger waiting for that thing to charge for the third time in the day while I just fill up in 30 seconds.
Well, let's talk about that. It's a good transition. Electric charging infrastructure. GM had a big week this week. Lots of announcements. In fact, they sort of even went through a rebrand, new logo and everything, just to sort of reinforce their investment and their focus on EV, which I think is refreshing. We haven't seen that, like hey, we're going all in on this from a lot of other manufacturers that are established. But what are some of the highlights from this week in terms of announcements or things to come?
Yeah, of course, they talked a lot about their new battery structures, significantly less cobalt, high recyclability, all of that good stuff, and I appreciate it. However, I think that what we need to talk about is 30 new electric vehicles globally by 2025 is 2021. That means they are simultaneously launching 30 vehicles in a 4-year span. That's incredible. Now, who knows if it's really that big of an expansion or if it's kind of a rehashing of prior bodies and frames and all that. But that's a pretty aggressive target to hit. I mean, just think about that. Tesla's got, 4 cars right now?
Yeah, what it sounds like to me is like just a narrative that says like, hey, we're committed to converting our entire fleet. Right? Because I imagine their lineup is over 30 vehicles or something.
It's an incredible target to aim for.
Well, on the battery tech stuff, I mean, I think that's great too, the cobalt thing. But let's acknowledge that they are playing a little bit of catch up, right? I mean, the reduction of cobalt, the doubling of the energy efficiency, that's the case that's been made by our EV market leaders for the last few years. So it feels like a claw to say we're on the same playing field and that, hey, we're willing to bet that the battery technology is going to get to a place where all of our offerings, trucks, SUVs, everything, are going to be able to be electrical only offerings.
Yeah, I keep on having this debate in my head. I keep on wanting to say, well, yeah, Tesla was just the first, but now the big boy is here to play and they're going to take over. But Tesla's worth more somehow, and their stocks are still strong.
GM doesn't have an Elon Musk, man.
Exactly. They got Mary Barra, who is going to run this company straight to the top, but she doesn't have rockets. And I think that's basically what it is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But again, you made a hedge a few weeks ago that GM was going to be a really good company to invest in. Like if you weren't going to put your money in Tesla,
5-10 years, yeah,
right? Yeah, the GM's going to be a good 5-year hold. And just this last week with 22%, 25% increase in stock. So congratulations, that's played out well for you.
Short term, man, short term. Just wait for the real gains.
But also, several weeks ago, Tyler bet against me that Tesla stock would not double again. It's like maybe like $500-$600 at the time. Now we're looking at almost a $900 close this week. So EV's winning all around. Let's just be happy about that.
Just wait.
All right, well, we'll see. So a few other notable things I want to call out from the GM event this week. Great investments in the battery technology, giving a lot of consumer confidence there, but also the partnership with EVgo. And I think EVgo is unique in that, well, first of all, great to hear that they're investing in the infrastructure. EVgo's a charging station company, but also they're unique in their more renewable than the blinks or the charge points. Is that right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You talk about 100% renewable energy. I mean, that's still not great. We got to figure out a way to really reduce the impact on our environment through all sources available to us, not just, checking boxes. So I think it's a lot of PR more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But they're also, right, in their boasting of sort of the investment in the infrastructure, they're also, I think, giving credit to the claim that there is a huge gap in the charging infrastructure right now for, non compared to the supercharger infrastructure, which I'm still hopeful that there'll be other companies that express interest in leasing that and taking advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Elon claims to be open to it. My favorite part of this sort of EV week for GM though was is it VTOL?
It's the VTOL. Yeah,
the VTOL, which is a flying car. Do you remember sort of the highlights from this?
Well, yeah, top speed 56 miles per hour. Just the beauty of being able to fly over problems rather than get stuck on roadways. It's a four-rotor aircraft powered by 90 kilowatt-hour electric motors. It's pretty cool. I will give you, bringing the cost down on helicopters to a sense that everyone can kind of own one would be pretty sweet. Now, I'm a little bit more reasonable, I think. I don't quite buy into, I think Toyota had a similar project with kind of basically a mobility cart a few years back. But I like the Cadillac Halo. So the Cadillac Halo was basically a VW bus, but just kind of designed for a social gathering. You and your friends hop in, this couch mobile and relax. And
passenger oriented.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that idea of the future. Now, we've talked about regulations and self-driving and all that, and I mean, it's going to be tough to see that to fruition. But I like the idea of, hey, come to my living room and we'll go to, the Blazer game or something.
Playing devil's advocate here, I want this too, don't get me wrong. But I remember an interview back from, I sound like an Elon Musk fanboy, but Elon Musk, I guess I kind of am. Elon Musk 2014, there's an interview I'm thinking back to where someone asked him this, will air travel be electrified? And I think flying cars was brought up. And he said something funny like, how would you feel about, hundreds of, consumer controlled helicopters buzzing around, making all sorts of noise pollution and stuff? And
sounds like the kind of guy that owns a tunnel company. He's got a good point though.
Touche.
I don't remember the scale, but he said there's a lot more ground below us than there is sky that's flyable above us. So it makes sense. Now, on the flip side, I don't particularly like to go flying in a vehicle that might break down. So,
Yeah, if we're having trouble passing laws to support self-driving in cars, I imagine that this is a few years out.
Yeah, and I don't have a pilot's license, so, I don't know. All I do know is I feel somewhat comfortable, about 80% comfortable driving an old beater on the road. I would feel about 10% comfortable flying in an old beater, okay? So I'm just thinking towards the future here.
Yeah, new definition until the wheels fall off, right?
Yeah, exactly. Till the propeller falls off. Have fun.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned with with GM. I think they're making a lot of cool moves right now, and we'll see them as a serious incumbent to Tesla in the next few years. I think we're both hedging our bets there. Next, so Ridershare and Twisted Road. If you haven't heard of them, these are ride-sharing apps for your motorcycle. So much like Turo, you can post your car and rent it to other people. These apps let you rent out your motorcycle to other people. We're really excited about these in 2019 because both of these companies saw a 10x plus growth, lots of venture funding. It's not only is it a practical market, but there's also sort of this market for the travelers, right? The vacationers want to rent a bike when you're traveling to a new place. I think it's a great idea. But these companies have gone from pre-IPO type growth to basically flatlining in 2020 because of the pandemic. And you'd mentioned something earlier to me that was interesting, which was, in Ridershare and Twisted Road claim that their lack in growth is because they're very reliant right now on that travel market. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned something that I thought was really interesting, that Airbnb, who's recently had a lot of success in their IPO, you said they had a record travel year.
Well, and here's the thing is, yes, social events, group gatherings went down. Motorcycling, that's a solo event. You're on a motorcycle alone, maybe one other person that's within your bubble, and maybe you're with a friend that's on a completely different motorcycle. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Everyone was just dying to get outdoors during the summer, just begging. I mean, everything, all the outdoor stores sold out on kayaks, tents, everything. And these guys did not have a good year. That really surprises me.
It surprised me too. I think it's a great social distancing activity, right?
Oh, it's the best.
You're outside.
You are literally social distance on your bubble of a motorcycle.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
With a helmet that acts as a mask. I mean, really. I think it's a marketing issue. I think that they need to get more in the faces of people so that they know it's a viable activity. And
that's fair.
I think that based on the listings around us, there is a solid supply of bikes available, and there's a need to have renters rent those bikes.
I agree. Yeah, come on. We just need more blogs encouraging people to go get out there and
more
ride bikes.
Sponsored YouTube channels.
If only the state would be functioning enough to allow us to get motorcycle licenses at this time for all those new riders. Last thing for today, and I'm glad we're giving this one some attention. We talk about huge innovations, the last few months, and kind of ground breaks and drivetrains, battery technology, whatever it might be. But sometimes we miss the small stuff. And Audi has innovated, and we want to give it some news light for their new headlights. And this is something that seems obvious, right? And we've had the technology to do before, but it's just happening now.
Well, and I love how the lamest topic to be discussed on this whole channel is my most exciting one, and for me personally. So basically, everyone has always known headlights. They're either bright or they are dim. You don't have any in between, or off. You don't have any. It's either off or on, 100 or 0. You don't have any in between there. Well, Audi has developed advanced ADB headlights, and really what they allow is specific segments to get highlighted brighter than other segments. And so it adapts to changing conditions, and it can put images out on the road to signal that there's a pedestrian walking along the road, or there's other obstacles that you need to be aware of, as well as not blinding other drivers while still illuminating to the fullest extent possible. Just incredible stuff.
This is more than okay. That's like different than I was thinking. More than I was thinking. So I thought we were just talking about like a really smart adaptive brightness system. But you're saying one side of the road might be lit more than another side. Like your oncoming traffic headlight's going to dim, and your other one might go up.
Exactly right.
What do you mean by images on the road? We're like these things project onto the street?
Yeah. So basically, you have 1.3 million micro mirrors that funnel the LED photons, and they adjust up to 5,000 times per second to adapt to only brightening parts of the field of view while shading others. So basically, it can look and see where can I be brighter and where do I have to dim based on the conditions out there, and constantly adapt to give you the best view possible. Now, the downside on all this is we're once again dealing with legislation. Now, we've talked about self-driving legislation. The issue with this one is that there's an old law that says you can't have both brights and regular lights on at the same time. It's either or, and it's an actual law. I don't know if you have fog lights on in your car. I know I do. And when I turn on the brights, the fogs have to turn off. And so, because of this law. And I mean, it's just antiquated, and it doesn't make any sense. And, it just shows, the problem that was meant to solve is now holding back innovation and safety. It's
Great.
incredible.
So now when the officer pulls you over for speeding and for having your brights on illegally, you can tell him that, hey, buddy, not only was my car driving itself, but my lights do their own thing, man. They're all computer controlled, so take it up with GM. Exactly. Or no, not GM. Who's this?
This is Audi.
This is Audi, yeah.
But basically, he wouldn't even know that they are bright because he wouldn't have gotten brightened. Like the last 3 times I've driven in at night, I get completely bright lighted by somebody in a 1998 Civic that hasn't figured out how their regular lights work. And then there's 3 other cars that don't have taillights on because they're just using their daylight running lights.
Or to BMW who just wants to be an asshole.
Yes, thank you.
But that is neat. That is really cool, though. I like that. Hey, if you're in the market, and you're like, what luxury car do I spend, $70,000 on? And an Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Tesla. If headlight, sectional dimming is important to you, the Audi's who you should go with. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, that's everything for Garage Talk today. Please subscribe. We're going to try and do episodes a few times a week at least. Talk about things that are exciting in the automotive space. Bye.